What's going on? It's Peter here again for another live stream. Today I am writing the military psychological thriller called Tip of the Spear. I am currently on page 13 and I'm jumping right into where we left off, which is the beginning of kind of Act 2. So for those of you joining us for the first time, the first act we have written our character Chuck in as this person who is a go-getter, a very competitive person, someone who wants to be the best of the best. And so he joins the Marine Corps and he steps on everybody's toes. He does whatever he can to become the best infantry Marine possible. And then he's selected for a private military contract. And so part of this recruitment into the private military requires a series of tests, testing his mental capacity in a torture and hostage situation. So he's captured by his trainer and he doesn't know that this is a test. He thinks he's actually being tortured by a real terrorist, a real enemy combatant to the military. And we're jumping in right where he realizes what's happening, that he's black bagged basically and taken to an undisclosed location, and he wakes up in this prison cell where he now has to cope with the fact that he is a prisoner of war and he is being tormented and tortured by this mysterious person. So without further ado, welcome into the Phaneron. We're gonna go right into our writer duet, which is my writing software of choice. So I'm down here, we're on page 13. Let me just read the last page that we wrote, or actually let's read the last scene to just get me back up to speed. Wow, okay, so he wakes up in a prison cell. He looks at his surroundings. The small cell is basically empty other than a metal surgical table. Chuck tries to stand up, but he's bound to his chair. He snaps his head down, inspecting his zip ties and rope bindings. He pulls on them hard, trying to break free, to no avail. Extreme close-up of his hands tied to the chair. Hey, help! Silence. He notices a door directly in front of him and attempts to jump in his chair towards it. He pants and struggles to move. Then suddenly he loses his balance and falls flat on his side. He writhes in pain. What the hell's going on? Hello? Beat. Chuck tries to catch his breath. His eyes wander as he works through the details of his situation in his own head, panicked. Suddenly, a man in full terrorist uniform, Amir, storms into the room. Hey, what the fuck is happening? Who are you? We can only make out Amir's eyes through a hijab on his head as he flips Chuck onto his back. Untie me, you fuck, let me out of here, now! Amir grabs a piece of cloth, shoves it over Chuck's mouth, then grabs a gallon of water and begins pouring it over Chuck's face. Chuck chokes as he struggles as he's waterboarded. Amir lets him breathe for a moment. What are you... He's interrupted by another pouring. Chuck spits up water in an attempt to breathe, then Amir covers his face again and continues pouring water over him. After the entire gallon of water is gone, Chuck coughs up the last of the liquid in his lungs. Amir throws the bottle away as Chuck struggles. He lifts the chair back up, checks Chuck's bindings, then storms out of the room. The door slams and locks behind him. Chuck tries catching his breath. Finally, he stops panting. He didn't even ask me anything. What the hell is happening? He's freaking out. His voice echoes in the prison cell. Beat. Suddenly, we hear the faint call of someone outside the room. Hello? Oh, this is Matt, faint and muffled. Hello? Chuck perks up. He looks around. He becomes as still as a statue. He tries to hear Matt's voice. Hello? Chuck notices a small pipe sticking out of the wall next to him. He hyperfocuses on the pipe. We get a vertigo effect, a dolly in. Matt through the pipe. Is anybody there? Chuck's eyes widen. Chuck's eyes widen. Hello? Yes! Chuck sighs in relief, smirking for a moment, then he looks down at his bindings again. He swings his body towards the pipe, slower this time, more controlled. He scoots 3 times until he's close enough to the pipe where he can peer through with his eyes. We see, through the pipe, Matt bounds to a chair just like Chuck. Ah, fuck, it's you. Are you serious? Chuck catches his tongue. He takes a deep breath and sighs. Are you hurt? They broke my arm, but they didn't ask me anything. What the hell is this? How am I supposed to know? Sarcastically, Matt says, I thought you knew everything. Chuck, are you kidding me? You're such a piece of shit, you know that? Suddenly, we hear the door slam open in Matt's room. Matt to Amir. What do you want, fucker? Do you know who I am? We barely see as Amir grabs Matt and drags him away. Chuck, Matt, hello? We hear Matt's chair being thrown to the floor. He screams in agony when we hear him choke and spit up water. Chuck looks away, cringing at the noise. Okay. I'm going to refer back to my 3x structure right here on my outline. We are right around... let's go my story beats. We've hit that stunning surprise. Okay. We've written this part. The man dressed in Arabic clothing, Amir, storms into the room. He begins to torture Chuck without questioning him, just torture. Chuck tries to figure out what the man wants. He struggles and asks Amir why he's doing this. We wrote that. Amir just leaves and doesn't say anything. Chuck sulks, tries to recover from the pain. He calls out. Oh, he's coughing through the wall. He calls out, finds out it's Matt. They communicate. He tries to calm Matt. They start talking about how to break their bindings. Okay, so this is kind of where we're at. Sounds of struggle can be heard for a few moments. Suddenly, we hear the door open, then slam shut through the pipe. Chuck peers through the pipe once more, struggling to focus in on Matt. Matt's head hangs low. Coughs and struggles to breathe. Hey! Matt pants, but doesn't respond. Matt! It's really hard to get super authentic dialogue in the first run through. That's why they call the first draft kind of a vomit draft. I'm going to try to make it as natural as possible, but some of it is probably going to be cheesy until I can get that second read through, and then I can really dial in the characters' voices. Let's see. At this point, Chuck is still kind of like prideful. Like he is starting to kind of like feel empathy for Matt. Obviously, they're in the same situation, but he still has his prideful like core because he hasn't gone through that change just yet. Let's see. What kind of question is that? Chuck rolls his eyes. Matt gains his composure and glances through the pipe at Chuck. Maybe I'll put this down here. We're in this together. So let's get the hell out of here. Then you can go back to hating me. Let's put a beat in there, just for pacing purposes. Okay. Chuck looks around the room again, searching for clues. He... Is there going to be a security camera in there? I don't know. I mean, there is, clearly, but I don't know if he's going to notice that. What do you see? Remember our training. What do you see? Anything that can help us? Matt begins scanning his room. A table with some rope and some knives. Matt starts breathing quicker. And spots a security camera. Look up. Oops. Matt looks up. Some cameras. What about the door out? Mine is all busted. Matt suddenly drops his head low. Begins panting again. Chuck turns his attention back to him. Matt. Shit. No, we're not. You know why? Because we're Marines. I know, I want it to be authentic, so I'm adding a lot of like F-bombs in there. That's how Marines talk. That's where I got my sailor mouth. But I also, you know, this is clearly going to be an R-rated film. The main theme of the film is going to be this change from someone who's prideful and competitive and has this desire to kill and be the best, and that shift is going to be into like regret, sacrifice, and being essentially somebody who doesn't want anything to do with the business of killing anymore. This torture experience is going to change Chuck. And so like really it's this kind of like biblical arc where he starts as this person who's lost, this prideful, sinful person, and he turns into someone who wants to be a good person. You know, that's still the beginning of his journey, because every step of the way to try to become a better person, it's always a challenge. There's never really an end. So there definitely could be more films attached to this, more stories with Chuck or within this kind of like sphere. This could become a franchise, who knows? But right now, like this, the focus that I'm more worried about is Chuck's change from prideful to humble and sacrificial. But once again, even though those are the themes, I want it to feel authentic. So I'm going to be including a lot of, you know, the vernacular of a Marine or of somebody who's in the military, which there's going to be a decent amount of F-bombs and just like cussing and just vulgarity in there. So be forewarned. Let's get back into it. Man. Okay. Dialogue. Dialogue hard. Me no know what to say. This might be a good time for Amir to come back in, so I'm going to have him kind of interrupt the conversation. Amir, at this point, he actually sits down and interrogates him. Let me go back to my my outline real fast. So he comes back to Chuck. This time he sits down and actually interrogates him. Chuck tries to counter-interrogate, not giving any information up, but also trying to get information from Amir. Okay. All right. Is Amir going to be like more cordial with him this time? I feel like he's going to probably go back and forth between like a good cop, bad cop, but it's just one guy. And I feel like, I guess he could be kind of like still very aggressive towards him at this point. I also don't know how it's going to be that Amir can't, like, that he doesn't know that they're in communication, that Chuck and Matt are in communication with each other. That might not make sense. I might have to kind of like change that a little bit, but as of right now, it's like it's not obvious to Amir that he's communicating with Matt, even though they're literally right next to each other. Okay. Amir locks the door behind him, then ominously walks over to the table. It's a surgical table. Surgical table. He picks up a knife and a sharpening stone and begins sharpening his blade. We have an Alex in here. Who's Alex? Forgot who Alex was. Oh, Alex is the dad. Dang. All right. That's fine. So Amir I have to kind of think about a little bit about these torture techniques, these like interrogations. Amir is going to essentially, at this part, he's going to try to get information out of Chuck and maybe even like listen to what Chuck has to say. Chuck silently watches. Okay, I'm going to pause here because I have to now think about what's Amir's motivation. Like, obviously, he has this overarching motivation. He's training Chuck, he's torturing them in order to try to break Chuck. But as like his character, the character that he's playing, what is his motivation? He wants to find out, first of all, maybe where the location is of the private military group. He wants to find out like the identity of other people within this group. And he wants to find out what the mission that they have is currently. And he wants to find out what they know. So if they know where the location of his headquarters is, it's probably something that he wants to try to figure out. Like, so, okay, so that's gonna, I think, guide my questioning a little bit here. At first, it could be very straightforward and like, okay, tell me. Chuck straightens up. And furrows his brow at Amir. He says nothing as Amir continues to sharpen his blade. What did we call this private military group? Is it Gray Wolf or Black Wolf? Black Wolf. Suddenly, he throws the sharpening stone back down onto the metal table. Slam. He leans in and places the blade on Chuck's cheek. Where is Black Wolf? Stays silent and stoic. Amir stands. Amir pulls the blade back away from Chuck and slowly stands. Hmm. I want to add some imagery in there, so I'm going to throw in kind of like this image of Amir, like the silhouette of Amir looking like the devil. Maybe I should save that. Actually, I'm going to save that for later in the film, like when it's revealed that Amir is not who he claims to be. It really highlights his demonic, like, personality, I guess, and desires. So I think maybe I'll save that for later on. Amir pulls the blade back away from Chuck and slowly stands. A stool from the corner he grabs a stool and sits right in front of him. I guess I should probably, I'm gonna bold all of these props because in the first act, I think I need to go back on my second run through and put these props specifically into the description of the room when we first see the room. So I don't want to forget to do that. So the knife, I never put anything about the knife in there. And the sharpening stone. I want to add a rope. Some rope. Camera. Okay. And then the door. I just kind of want to remember all of my props as I'm going into this. Like, I've found that if I'm not like hyper organized when it comes to that, then I will forget certain things. Like, you know, obviously when you're making a film, you want to have this continuity. You want to make sure that the props in each scene and the setting and the like kind of the set design is congruent in every single scene, so that you don't have that Game of Thrones moment where there's a coffee cup in the middle of the scene that doesn't really fit with the time period. Or, you know, you don't want to be filming something, leave out the stool, and then later on he grabs the stool. It's like, where did that come from? It has to all make sense. So I'm definitely like in the camp of organizing your props and your outlines. I'm thinking of production as I'm writing. That way I don't have to go back and like redo it a million times to make sure that everything is like lined up and makes sense. Like I like doing it while I'm actually writing. Oops. You people came into my country. You slaughtered thousands of my people. Chuck watches as Amir stabs himself in the thumb with the knife, the tip of the blade. Huh? The tip of the spear? Blood drips from the wound. Amir squeezes his thumb to make... Ooh, let's see. I'm gonna have to change Alex's name because that's annoying. That's why, like, when you're writing in a screenplay software, it's so annoying to have more characters, more than one character with the same beginning letter, because then it, like, look, it does this, and then like I just want to press A, and then go to and then press Enter so that a mirror pops up. It saves time. It's just like a shortcut, but now I have to like be more intentional about that. So I might change Alex's name just for that reason. Okay. Let's see. Chuck watches as Amir stabs himself in the thumb with the tip of the blade. Amir squeezes his thumb to make more blood drip from the wound. You took the lifeblood from us, and you claim that you're not devils? Chuck is silent. Amir shifts his attention from his blade and locks eyes with Chuck. Now, where is Black Wolf? Chuck glances away. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm a Marine. I might make a last name for him at some point. But right now I'm just referring to him as Chuck. Amir leans in, grabs onto leans in and grabs Chuck's arm, bound to the chair. The chair arm. Chuck tries to pull away. At some points, I feel like we should kind of like pan past the pipe and show that Matt is listening and he can actually hear kind of everything that's happening. Maybe. Amir's grip tightens. Amir slowly brings the blade of his knife up to what's Chuck's fingertips and presses tip underneath his fingernail. Chuck squirms as the blade penetrates his skin. The blade blood squirts from Chuck's finger as the blade digs deep under the nail. As Amir digs the blade deep under the nail, popping it off. Chuck screams in pain. Ah! Where is Black Wolf? Amir. Amir digs the blade under another fingernail, ripping it off. As Chuck's screams grow louder. We see Matt glaring through the pipe, trying to get a good look at what is happening. He silently watches and listens. Amir takes the blade and digs it into the top of Chuck's hand, in between the bones. He stares ominously into Chuck's eyes, a little smirk on his face. Chuck riles in pain. Riles? Squirms. Winces in pain. Then takes a few deep breaths, gains his composure, and looks up into Amir's eyes. Focused. So he stares ominously at Chuck, a little smirk on his face. Chuck winces in pain, then takes a few deep breaths, gains his composure, and looks up into Amir's eyes, focused. He, with all his might, not to react to the piercing pain in blade in his hand. So he's like shaking, he's trembling. He tries with all his might not to react to the piercing blade in his hand. What? Is he a corporal? I think I made him a corporal. Let's see. feel like I want to have him just say his like rank and his unit number, kind of like they do in POW like camps. Like they don't give any information away, but they do tell them who they are. But I think I might have to like really brainstorm that a little bit more and like do a little bit more research about the units and their training and stuff like that. So I'll just keep that blank for now. Void out of Chuck's hand. Stands up. Places and places it down on the surgical table without saying another. Oh, how about that? Without saying another word, he leaves Chuck alone again. All right. My camera died. All right, my camera died, and I also have to use the restroom, so I'm gonna go on a quick break. Please stick around if you want to see the rest of this writing session. I'm gonna be writing for another like 30 or 40 minutes. Be back soon. All right, I'm back. My camera's back on. So I have a Sony A7R. It's a great camera. It has awesome, takes awesome pictures, takes awesome video, but it's in this tiny little DSLR body. It overheats if I have it on for too long. So it's great to use as a webcam until it overheats and throws everything off. So, so just dealing with that, technical issues, always technical issues when you're doing live streams and when you're a filmmaker too, like when you're on set, there's always going to be some technical issues that you have to deal with. So we got to just deal with it and move on. All right, I'm going to write a little bit more, kind of find a place to close this session off, and then I'm going to have to log off for now, but I will be back on this week. I really got to start doing this more frequently. Obviously, as a person with a family and a job and responsibilities, this is something that I'm doing in my free time. So my free time is limited, but my hope and goal is to continue to be just consistent, like taking those tiny baby steps, because I'm not going to be able to get it all done at once. I'm not going to be able to bulk do a feature film, right? But I will be able to take small baby steps in the right direction, and a couple pages here, a couple pages there. I think that I'm going to be able to get to my 6-page goal for today, and then maybe tonight or tomorrow I'm going to be able to try to find time to jump back on and just keep rolling. And as long as I continue making those baby steps, then within a couple weeks or months, the screenplay will be written. And then we can move on to the next phase. Also, I have like a million other ideas that I want to develop, but I really want to focus on this as a shooting feature, something that I want to get made and actually direct as my debut feature. So I am still focusing on that, but man, I have so many story ideas in my head that I want to get out into the world. So once I get this screenplay done and I move on to the next stage of pre-production, I'll probably jump in and do another feature. And in the meantime, I'm also working on a couple of shorts as well. So busy, busy, busy. So anyway, let's get back into it. All right. So Chuck's alone. Chuck just went through this immense pain. He got his fingernails torn off. He got his hand stabbed, and he's bound to this chair. He glares down at his bloody hand. Anger in his eyes. He screams and pulls on his bindings again. We see the zip ties dig into his wrists as he pulls with all his might. Finally, he relaxes. Actually, instead of relaxing, I kind of want a break in the time. So he passes out. Ooh. Okay. So finally he passes out, and maybe this is a good time, a good opportunity to do a flashback of some sort, because I really want his relationship with his father to play a role in like his drive to be the best. Let's fade to black. And then we're going to go... Okay, so what could be something that... What could be something that we show between him and his father? Now, in this scene, the flashbacks and the opening kind of like teaser when he's younger, I have two options. I'm either going to film it with my main actor, and before he gets all like bulked up and like looking like a Marine, we'll try to make him look as young as possible. And then once we shoot these main scenes, we'll then have him look the way a Marine should look and look a little bit older and disgruntled. I don't know if that's going to work, but that's kind of how I'm writing it. However, there's also the possibility of getting a younger actor for maybe one day and shooting all the flashback scenes in one day with the father and the younger actor. We wouldn't even have to get our main actors on those days, on that day. So that way it would still reduce the size of the crew. We could just have me, my cameraman, maybe one or two PAs or gaffers to help us out with audio and lighting. And then we'll have our father and son duo. In order to like save time and money and resources, this is a micro budget film. I might have to just do it the first way that I was talking about, where I bring in my main actor, who Max right now. Max is that character. He is going to, like, we can make him look young. We can make him look, you know, the way that they do in shows like on the Disney Channel when they have like 30-year-olds playing, you know, high schoolers. Like, we make him look younger, and then we can be very intentional about the way he looks when he's older. That's kind of my plan for now. Just, okay. But what could this flashback be? It's got to obviously be something about competitiveness. It's got to be maybe about the father's backstory a little bit, and then he has to basically torment this child, this young boy, because that's like that's his whole persona, is that he's kind of tormented by his father, brainwashed by his father into being the best, having the pride of being the best. Let's think. Flashback. There we go. And I'm going to, right now, maybe this is a good opportunity to change Alex's name. Let's go find and replace Alex. $16 times. Replace with abusive father. Joe. Okay, it's Joe. It's not Alex anymore. The father's name is Joe. Yeah, okay. There we go. Joe. Joe drinks from a flask as Chuck slowly eats his dinner. What could Joe be mad about? Joe's going to be mad about certain performance issues. He wants his son to be the best. Now, and in the opening scene, as of right now, I have the whole conflict between Joe and Chuck is, let's see, I'm gonna go back to the beginning. It's about training to be a Marine, because once again, I have Chuck being this older boy, like maybe 17, 18-year-old boy, and Joe, you want to be the best, you can't be making stupid fucking mistakes like that. You're gonna be like me, or wind up bleeding out in some hut in a fucking desert. Okay, so like clearly Joe is training Chuck to be a stellar Marine at this point. So this interaction between them, like, I don't want it to sound and feel exactly the same. I want it to be different. I want it to also go into like maybe Joe tortures Chuck when he was younger, like actually waterboards him. See, and in my mind, I'm imagining Joe is kind of a hardened, like, PTSD Marine, someone who actually like went through this, and that's why he drinks, and that's why he's so adamant about like training his boy and making him the best. It's not only about being the best, it's like being the best so that you can survive and perform your duties. So, that being said, the writer's block is real, my friends. So it's got to be something like he like dropped out of something. If we're going to focus this around the military, okay, silence. Suddenly the phone rings. This is going to take place maybe not in the very present, but maybe a little bit in the past. I really hate using smartphones and smart technology in films. I don't know why. It's like a nostalgic thing. I like 90s technology better than current technology. So the phone rings. Joe stands. Joe answers it. Stands and answers. Maybe I'll just put that in with the other on this line. What's happening? What's happening? So Chuck glances up fearfully at Joe as he speaks. Joe slowly hardens his gaze at Chuck. Thank you, Sergeant. I'll take care of it. Joe slams the phone down onto the receiver. Receiver. I before E, except after C. Haha. Hey! I knew that would come in handy one of these days. Then takes... Okay. Another swig of his... From his flask. From his flask. Chuck just stares. Suddenly, then finishes. Ah, okay. Finishes his flask. Maybe I'll make this scene, this paragraph a little longer. Chuck stares as Joe silently walks to the cabinet. Grabs a bottle of vodka and fills his flask up. Then he grabs a towel and with the half full bottle of vodka in his hand, he approaches his son. Chuck looks up at him. Sir? Without saying a word, Joe grabs Chuck, turns him around, leans him back up against the table and waterboards him with the vodka. Chuck screams and squirms. gurgles as he attempts to breathe through the torture. You want to skip PT? This is what you get. You want to be the best. Ooh, okay, we're gonna go back to the prison cell. Chuck gasps. Snaps his eyes open. He coughs and looks around the room. And here's a whisper coming from the pipe in the wall. It's Matt. Chuck. Chuck, are you alive? Takes a few deep breaths and gains his composure. Yeah. I'm here. All right, so now this is going to start another scene where we dive back into the relationship between Chuck and Matt. Their relationship is the thing that kind of drives the plot forward because it's got to grow and evolve in every iteration. Every time that they're tortured, they have to continue to work together, calm each other down, and support one another until the moment that Matt is killed. And so this scene, now going into this next scene, I think that I found a good stopping point. I'm on page 19, so that's 6 pages. Maybe it's 5 pages, and I'm now on. I was in the beginning of 13, now I'm in the beginning of 19. Okay, between 5 and 6 pages. I think that I am making pretty good progress on this. But just to recap, today we wrote from the point that Chuck and Matt realize what is happening, that they were captured and are being tortured by some strange person who seems like he's a terrorist, who seems like he is an enemy combatant. We wrote the initial torture scene, the initial interaction between Matt and Chuck, trying to figure out what's happening and how to cope with what's happening. Then we wrote another interaction between our antagonist, Amir, and our protagonist, Chuck, where Amir actually questions him and starts torturing him a little bit more. Then we got a flashback after that torture scene. Chuck passes out, and we see this flashback to his childhood where his dad is actually torturing him. So once again, this, like, it's gonna hopefully it'll rhyme and it'll all make sense. And now we're gonna go, the next time I jump on with you guys, I'm gonna go right into this next scene on page 19 where Chuck and Matt, their relationship gets deeper. I think I'm staying on track with my outline, and once I get this vomit draft up, Maybe it'll evolve a little bit. Maybe the story will grow. The thing I'm most concerned about is the story and the character development, as well as keeping the budget low. So, hey, it's a process, it's a journey. So, thank you for joining me on this journey. And if you're enjoying watching the development of this feature film, please don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Check out fanaronfilms.com where you can see all of our films and podcasts up there as well. And keep a lookout for more of these live streams because we're making a feature film, baby. All right. Thanks again, and I will see you next time.